The new America is going to be one big giant sweatshop for the rest of the world.
Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report Spotlight. Today's guest is Dex, also known as the Vulcan. Dex worked on Wall Street for many years as a system developer and money manager. Dex right now is documenting the coming collapse of the entire free market system with daily stock, forex, and future analysis. He uses the pulse wave system to monitor and detect anomalies in the economy. He is also the owner of PulseScan72. That is his YouTube channel, where every day he puts up different information on what is going on in gold, the economy, Bitcoin. And I am very happy to have him on the X22 Report Spotlight. Dex, welcome to the Spotlight.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it's an honor to be here.
Dex, thank you for being on the Spotlight. Just to let everyone know, Dex has been on Charlie McGrath radio show when Charlie was with us, and he used to give us incredible reports, and I used to listen to him all the time. And he has a lot of interesting things that he tells people about, and he really goes deep into what is happening in the economy. And he's straight up. He doesn't, go around and tell you things you really don't want to hear. He tells you exactly the way it is. And I am really, really excited to have Dex on here today. And I wanted to start off with what your trading pulse wave system is and how you use it to track the economic collapse. Can you just give us a little background of what that is?
Absolutely not. The interview is over. No. No, just kidding. Actually, the pulse wave system it took about 20 years of research and development. It got its start back on my days on Wall Street. First, when I started out as a broker on Wall Street, and then when I got into system development and historical analysis and things of that nature. And it's evolved from there. Now, basically what it does, it tracks different trend following systems, and it tracks a lot of different technical analysis in the market. There's some econometric modeling that goes into it, looking at a lot of different fundamentals. And then last but not least, it takes in-depth look at the put-call ratios, and it goes into market depth. It takes a look at anomalies within any given market. Take a look at what's happening in the dark pools, and then it gets into some other things that I can't go too much into, but suffice it to say that it's a very in-depth mechanism, and it's hundreds of algorithms that go out and do what I need them to do in cyberspace and report back to me. That's what it boils down to.
So you report on different things happening in the economy. You're looking at gold, you're looking at silver, you're looking at the stock market, you're looking at Bitcoin, you're looking at different stocks, you're looking at a lot of different things. And when I was looking at your channel, you had something on there that said that silver and gold, they're going to skyrocket at some point.
Correct.
And many people have been saying this, where they're saying that gold and silver is going to skyrocket. But your system and what you're looking at is telling you that, yes, at some point it will start to move up. Do you know exactly when it will start to happen, or do you have a time frame? And why do you think that gold and silver are going to start increasing in value?
Okay. First of all, yes, within the next 12 to 18 months, I do believe that you will see at least silver double the price that it is now, and for gold to be double the price where it is now. That's at minimum. In our actuality, I believe that we could see 1,000% increase in the price of silver and gold, and also the mining shares, all moving up together at the same time. That is what I believe that the data research data is suggesting and telling me. So that's within the next 12 to 18 months. Now, from the day by day on the interim basis, how will I know that certain things are happening? Well, that's what the Vulcan report is for. I do an end of day report on the Bitcoin and the precious metal space. I look at the futures, I look at the equities, I look at the ETFs, I look at the mining shares, and the pulse waves let me know where certain price inflection points are in the market and what's happening within any given market to let me know what we can expect. Like, for example, right now we've been in a sort of a pullback mode in the gold and the silver paper market, looking at the futures contracts. Okay. So some people will say, see, I told you it was going down, it's not going up. That's not true. What's happening is it's pulling back toward its support because it had an explosive, like almost straight up move. And so now you're getting basically a retracement of that explosive move. It is not, crashing, it's just a correction. Even the stock market is off, by a little bit. Nothing really big to see here. As far as why do I think this is happening outside of the technicals, is because of what's been happening at the Fed level. The Fed has itself in a corner. It's backed itself into a corner. The only thing it can do is continue to add stimulus to the markets. Some people like to say that's printing money. Well, we know the Fed doesn't really print anything. It's all electronic digits, zeros and ones. So at the end of the day, because of the Fed policies and keeping interest rates at zero and even talking about going negative, that's going to have a deep impact on the US dollar. So they're messed up. They have to defend the dollar every day in the stock market. And in order to do that, they have to sell something. So they have to attack the metals markets to bolster up the dollar. And when they do that, then they have to also at the same time defend the bond market. And so lately you've been seeing the bond market move in tandem with the stock market. Now, you worked on Wall Street, you have basic understanding of financial markets and economics. You know that is supposed to be impossible. When the stock market is down, the bond market's supposed to be going up, and vice versa. It's a flight to quality, a flight to safety. Well, like today, for instance, the Dow is down as we talk right now, and so is bonds. They're moving together. And the reason why that's happening is because of the Fed policy manipulation. It's broken the financial system. They have no choice now but to continue what they're doing, manipulating the markets every day to keep the thing afloat, because they've broken it. Now, I'll tell you why they broke it later on after we get to the other questions.
So you're saying this entire market is completely controlled by the central bank?
Yes.
Or the powers that be?
Yes.
So if they're controlling everything, how can you forecast, what is about to happen if they're suppressing gold and silver and they're controlling the markets? How do you get around this?
Actually, it's very logical when you think about it. Okay, think about it. So you're sitting in your house and you're having dinner with your family, and the dog starts barking because someone's obviously in your yard. It's night, it's dark, can't really see. You don't have a floodlight outside like you should, so you don't know what's happening outside. You're blind, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea. You can't really forecast anything. As far as you know, a deer just ran by the yard or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take the same scenario. Instead of the dog barking because someone's outside the house, the dog's barking now because someone's in the basement. All right? And let's say you have a camera set up in your house. You can now monitor what's happening in your basement in real time. You have a camera. You can see the guy in his hood and his mask, and he has a knife. You can watch everything he's doing because you're there and you're watching him. You can see everything in real time, play by play. Well, it's the same with the markets. The Fed has manipulated the markets and shown his face and shown his hand. We have him on camera. He's the assailant trapped in the basement, and we're able to track his every move and know exactly what he's going to do and what he can and can't do. And in this situation, your basement is your panic room. It's a reverse panic room. It's set up because you know it's the easiest place to break into your house. And when an assailant goes in there, he's actually trapped. Your basement's not really a basement. It's basically a cage or a dungeon. And the person, once they get in there, they can't get out. Well, that's the Fed. He's trapped himself into the dungeon and he can't get out. And you have a camera and you're watching his every move. So there you have it. That's how we're able to know what's going on. It's actually easier in a manipulated market to know what's going on.
What does the central bank right now, where do you think they're going? Do you think, I mean, there's a lot of people talking about the central bank using QE once again, the central bank going to negative interest rates. What do you think their next move is going to be?
I believe their next move is going to be absolutely nothing. They're going to keep doing stimulus and do more stimulus. Dow 50,000, here we come. I said it on Charlie's show many years ago. Mm-hmm. I was the first and only one to say it. When the Dow was crashing back then, everyone was like, oh, the sky's falling. Martial law is right around the corner within 30 days. And I came on Charlie's show and I said, no, you're all wrong. You're about to see the granddaddy of bull markets to surpass even the markets of the 1990s. You have not seen the highs in the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell. Everyone thought that I was smoking something. I was laughed at. I was called a fool and an idiot. Well, here we are today, and the Dow and the S&P and the NASDAQ Composite and the Russell are hitting new all-time highs. They have surpassed the highs that they hit back before the bubble bursted in 2000. How do you explain that?
We see that the market is continually moving up. They're manipulating the market. Do you think the central bankers are worried about a black swan that could bring the entire market down?
No. The only person who's afraid of that is the government is afraid of that. However, the shadow government behind the government is not afraid of it because they control it, i.e. the central banks. They control everything about this market. This market, all right, how do I say this so that I don't confuse the people? Mm-hmm. Okay. Economics 101 teaches us that at some point, everything has to come down. The system is totally flawed, broken, manipulated, and disgusting, right? Because you can't spend $1 million a day and your income is only $100 a day. Right. At some point, you're going to be bankrupt, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the system's been doing, right? So we've been waiting and waiting for years now for this thing to go collapse, right? The reason why I did the video series on my YouTube channel, There Is No Collapse, i.e. because it already happened, is because it's true. They control the mechanism. We're no longer dealing with normal economics, not Keynesian, not Austrian, none of that. That's out of the window. It doesn't apply anymore. It doesn't exist. We live in cyberspace now. Everything is zeros and ones. So all that stuff they teach you in business school, and you can throw your economics degree out the window. It doesn't apply. It hasn't applied for decades now. Even your when you look at your PE ratios and your stocks and stuff, none of that stuff matters. We got stocks hitting new all-time highs and they have no earnings. No earnings. They're closing stores and laying off people, and the stocks are going up. Come on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So what you're saying is we're living in an illusion.
Yes.
This dream world that they've created.
Yes.
So we have, on one hand, I just want to explain this so I can understand and other people can understand. We have the stock market, which is an illusion. Mm-hmm. And then we have reality because we see, retail stores closing, mm-hmm. companies laying off. We see manufacturing declining. There are statistics that the government can manipulate, like unemployment, GDP, right. And other things. So we see that all declining now, and that's mm-hmm. continually declining. It's not getting better. Companies are not building factories. We're not seeing more stores open. We're actually seeing the opposite happening. So the actual economy is contracting.
Right.
And then we have the stock market, where it's continually going up and up and up. So we have two things happening here. We have the central bank illusionary world,
Hmm.
and we have the real world where the people are actually feeling what's really going on.
Hmm.
How
Right.
does this coexist together?
Because even the real world is manufactured. Everyone's living in a matrix that was manufactured. It's all fake. I still to this day have not been able to find this episode. I wish I could. Maybe one of your listeners has it and they could, you know, um, upload it or something. I mentioned it on Charlie's show many years ago too. It was this was an episode of a TV show. It came on back in the 70s. I don't know if it was the $1 Million Man or the Bionic Woman, or if it was the Dukes of Hazards. It was I just can't remember the name of the show, but I remember the scene.
Mhm.
And what happened was some kind of terrorist group or something. They had a plan to bring down the U.S. And what they did was they attacked our money. They attacked the markets or something. They had some kind of computer machine or something. And throughout the whole show, the machine was counting down. And when it got to zero, it meant that the U.S. was bankrupt and they stole all of our money or whatever. And then I think it was the $1 Million Man who saved the day. He found out where their secret room was that they were doing it, and he stopped it. And then he reset the machine and it put the numbers back to where they were. It was almost at zero, and he saved the day. Well, what that means is what they were telling you was even going back to the 70s, we've already been on this electronic beast system. You
Hmm.
didn't even realize it. Because technically speaking, if that wasn't the case, we would have been collapsed. If this was the 1929 all over again, we would have collapsed, and it would be 100 times worse than the original 1929. But because of the advent of computers and technology and stuff, and because everything has been transferred over to this new electronic control grid system since 9/11, that's why we can never technically ever physically collapse, because they can do this forever. They can keep saying we're going to keep this thing going forever. They can print money forever per se. And they're not really printing money. What they're doing is they're allowing the computer mainframe systems to continue to allow income streams between the individual banks and financial systems. I know that went over some people's heads. What I'm trying to express to you, the way this thing works is, okay, you see what's going on in Venezuela right now with no
Hmm.
food, and they're trying to say they're broke and all this other stuff, right? All that smoke and mirrors, it's a lie. What's happening is the central bank is squeezing them and not allowing monies to flow and transfer between the country and its suppliers and where it gets its foods and stuff from until they agree to the terms of the central banks. The central banks want to take more of a foothold in Venezuela and countries like that because those countries are in the term escapes me now, but I'll give you the definition. They are in this like prime ecosystem area
Hmm.
where you have all these amazing rare earth metals and rare spices, herbs, foods, and things like that. So there are things they want to do down there, and they're having a problem doing it. So in order to make them do it, they have to starve the people in the country and cut off its money, almost like an embargo, is what they're doing. And all it is the push of a button. When you don't let funds transfer one to another, that that's poverty, that's broke, that's bankruptcy, right?
Right.
Because we know they're not bankrupt. They have oil down there. They have diamonds. They have all types of stuff down there, and it's the most one of the most fruitful places on the planet. So you have to do the math to that and be like, how is it? How is that possible? Oh, it's mismanagement. No, it's not. Our central banks, through the arm of the armed forces and other military aspects, control everywhere that there is a central bank. That's why all the um, you know, countries and empires that, we get all of our resources from, have a central bank there, followed by a military base or some type of military to control the bank's resources. The country is the bank's resources through the World Bank and the IMF and the International Monetary Funds and all this stuff. When they give money to a country and control it through debt, it gives them the right to take their resources. So as long as the Fed, i.e. central banks, have that control of that region, that's why you're seeing what you're seeing. It has nothing to do with mismanagement. It's a debt scheme. It's a scheme to control the masses and the people. So what's happening is when the day comes, you're not going to ever see a collapse. What you're going to see is an all-out grab, like that show that just came out, that movie, whatever it was. What was it? The fifth wave.
Right.
And the fifth wave was when they send the troops in to physically go and get the stuff. Well, that's what's going to happen here. That's why I say there's no collapse. Anything you see is manufactured. When they're ready to turn off the things, install the people, they can do that today or tomorrow. They can shut the banks down in a second. That's why you're never going to see bank runs in the U.S. It's impossible. They've created laws and legislation to make it impossible. You saw what happened back in '08 when they rushed WAMU and a few other banks and tried to do that. You had dudes stand out there with machine guns and they had the bank shut down. You couldn't even go up in there. That's because they control it all, and they were letting you know by show of force how much deep we are down this rabbit hole to the point of no return. They control everything. And when they are ready, they will roll out the new system of electronic where you won't be able to transfer funds or do anything without going through this new mechanism. And that's what Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency serve to do, to prepare the people for the new economy, the new mechanics of the new economy. And the cryptocurrency mainframe, the way it operates, is going to be the new currency. We knew this back in 1994 when I first got my introduction to Wall Street. That was one of the first things they talked about. They had a conference and they were talking about that. That was back in '94. So that's how long they've been working on this.
But using the cryptocurrency, there's no real central area for the system to work. It's diversified among many.
Again, it's the mainframe. It's not the actual Bitcoin itself. It's the idea of it. It's the mainframe, the mechanics of it. And it is not centralized in the way you think. It's centralized through, this new thing is going to be through the central banks, just like it is now. And they're going to have, how do I say this? They have these machines, like when you go to the store and you check out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you notice lately, all the terminals, regardless of what store you go to, are starting to look kind of the same. The checkout thing is kind of the same. Some places, like if your card has the chip in it,
right,
you got to put it into the chip reader.
Mm-hmm.
You see how that's becoming main around everywhere you go?
Right.
Well, that's the same way this new monetary system is going to be, except for it's going to be more control, because they want to have more control over the money. They want to know everything about it. And with it, I mean, it's really, I go really into depth in my series on There Is No Collapse. I go really into it. But for the most part, it's trackable. It's wearable digital technology that has your money and you combined, like your social security number, if that makes any sense to you. It's really like space agey, out of this world, but it's already exists. It's ready to be rolled out anytime they're ready to roll it out. It exists.
So
that's why they've been doing the pilots and stuff throughout the years, where you can go in the store, you don't even have a credit card or nothing. You just walk in and walk out, and already debits and credits you and everything, because you have the tattoo on you, and the tattoo has the chip in it, and it reads everything.
So let me just get this straight. From your series, you're saying there is not going to be an economic collapse.
Not in the way people think. No, it's
Okay.
not. It's not a collapse. It's an actual rollover from one system to another. It's not a collapse.
We did have that in the 1970s, if you really think about it. We had if you like to call it a rollover, a collapse of the system, when we moved from the gold-backed currency, which was kind of gold-backed.
Mm-hmm.
We came off of it and we went on to the oil-backed currency.
Correct.
And during the 70s, and most people who are my age, your age, remember there were, gas lines. Because when we're coming off one system going on to another, things were not operating the way they should, and we couldn't get fuel into the country. It wasn't that there was no fuel; it was because we were switching types of currency, moving on to a different system. I remember there was a lot of people out of work. Inflation was very high. Interest rates they had to raise to sop up all the excess dollars, because as soon as they came off of that system, the dollar was devalued and the whole system was in shock. But here we are on the opposite end of that. We're on the opposite end where today we have so much debt worldwide, where China, Russia, and other countries are purchasing a lot of gold. China is pushing the yuan, making a lot of bilateral trade agreements around the world. And the dollar right now is struggling because the whole thing is backed by oil. Forget about the full faith and credit of the United States. And the interest rates around the world are negative. So if we go back to the 70s, we had interest rates, 14, 15, 18%, whatever they were at that time. We had people's salaries being readjusted higher. Housing prices went up. Everything was readjusting, and everyone, as we came out of it, felt good in the beginning of the system. Here we are at the end of the system, where countries and areas like Bank of Japan, the European Union, they're in the negative range right now of interest rates. We have a huge amount of debt, and we're seeing the opposite happening where wages are falling. So here we are at the downside of that system. So if we roll over to a new system, what you're saying, it's not a collapse of the system, but in a case it kind of is, because that system is ending and they need to create a new system.
Except for the reason why I say it's not a collapse per se is because that would suggest that they lost control, and because of mismanagement or fraud or whatever, the system collapsed. That's not it. They've been waiting to take this one down and roll over to the digital one now, like I said, for decades. It's not a collapse. It's something that's being done on purpose. They want you to think that because of mismanagement and fraud and whatever reason, the system got brought down. Those darn Democrats, look what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. Those darn Republicans, they destroyed the economy. No. It's destroyed by design, is my point. You can't call that a collapse.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe this system is done. It's at its end term here, and they're looking to, shut it off and bring in a new one. But I think when I look at the entire global situation, I see they have a problem that, of course, they want to be in charge of the new system.
Correct.
But I feel there's two countries and other nations along with these two countries that are posing a problem for them. And I think this is, China and Russia. And there we have the Western side where they're saying, okay, this is going to be our new system. And then we have the Eastern side saying, no, you've done it long enough. It's our turn here. And we already have the infrastructure set up. We're already purchasing gold. We already have the manufacturing on our side. Russia has a huge amount of oil, and they're dealing already outside the dollar. So if that, and this is why I see the United States continually provoking and pushing war with Russia, or demonizing China, provoking them in different areas. It's not about, they're bad people. It's about freedom. It's about banking systems. So here we are in this battle right now. Now you're saying if the Western side goes forth and stops the old system and starts a new system, it's not going to be collapse. What happens if they can't do that? What happens if the East wins out and we're on a completely different system?
You laid that out perfectly. So let's go into it. Yes, there is major infighting right now. I also mentioned that on Charlie's show a few years ago before the new bull market and stocks took off. I said there was major infighting at that time. One side wanted the market to go lower and they wanted to roll out the new system then. And then there was another side that said, nope, we're not ready. We don't want that to happen yet. And I said, look like, the bull side is going to win. That bull side that wanted to win is the United States. The United States wants the West. They want to keep this thing going a little bit longer. They're not ready to roll it over yet. However, the East and, i.e. China and Russia, they're ready. They want it gone yesterday. All right. They want to do this, but they want to be the one to control it, like you said. So where does that leave us? If the U.S. is successful in poking the hornet's nest, they're going to bring about war, which is what they want anyway, because war is business. War is a racket. People make money from war. It also serves their other agenda and their other purpose. We know what that is. It's called the Georgia Guidestones. They want to get this population down a little bit. For those people who don't believe in depopulation and say, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory, you got on a tinfoil hat, let me challenge you to go to my, I have a channel on Daily Motion. Go ahead and look at my video called The Zombie Apocalypse, There Is No Escape. And I'm just going to leave it like that. I can't tell you what the original name of it is because it was banned and deleted off of the internet some years ago. No matter who downloaded and re-uploaded it or where they re-uploaded it to, it was banned and deleted off the internet. The only way I was able to get it up this time was to change the original name of the piece. Those of you who may have seen it before, it'll ring bells with you when you see it. Those of you who've never seen it, trust me, you will be totally enlightened as to what's really going on behind the scenes, as to why they're doing what they're doing. It's the quality is off because it's old VHS kind of quality, but the information is priceless, and you're going to see some things there that are going to blow you away. So I'll leave that part with that.
If you give me that link, I'll put that at the bottom of this video so people can go directly to it.
Okay.
So it'll make it a little bit easier so they can watch that video. And actually, I like to watch that also.
Yeah, if you type in Zombie Apocalypse, There's No Escape on my YouTube channel too. Mm-hmm. That video has a link to it also.
Okay, great. Yeah. So when we are looking at this entire scenario here, how do you think this is going to play out then?
I think the way it's going to play out is a couple of different ways. They don't have just one or two ways they can do it. They have a few aces up their sleeve because they have such control of this. I think the first thing they're trying to do is disenfranchise the people first. They've been successful and with the Black Lives Matter movement. We do understand that that's been funded by George Soros.
Correct.
And other people. We do know that it is being done in an effort to bring like a civil unrest among the people against themselves. They know civil unrest is coming. They want to manage it. They don't want civil unrest against the government. They want civil unrest among the people. As long as you got Sunni and Shiite fighting, the government's fine. They're fighting each other. Mm-hmm. Well, in America, if you can have people with more melanin in their skin fighting against people that have less melanin in their skin, then the government's fine. It can stay in power. As long as people aren't storming the steps of the White House, you're good to go. So I think they're not quite done with the disenfranchisement with the people. They want people to join sides and say, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and have them fight against each other. They want that. As long as we're arguing and bickering among ourselves, and as long as we are, fat, sick, and nearly dead on junk food and junk TV and reality TV shows and Pokemon Go, then that feeds their agenda. And then once they're ready, then they can just pull the plug because then everyone's totally unprepared for what they've done. They want an excuse to bring in the control mechanism. And they're not going to call it martial law. I don't think we'll ever see martial law per se again in America ever, regardless of what happens. They're going to call it something else because it feeds the agenda. What they want is for total collapse of the social order so that they can bring in the physical part of the control grid. That way they can force people into taking the new financial system. And I'll spell it out a little bit clearer real quick. What I'm really trying to say is, okay, look at it this way. I can say to you, hey, why don't you come over here and buy this cheesesteak? This cheesesteak is better than the one across the street. I want you to come buy it. You as a customer say, let me look at your marketing material. Let me look at a few commercials. Let me look at both of y'all. And I may come in and taste test both of y'all real quick, and then I'll decide for myself which one I like better. And I say, no, that's no good. I need you to buy this cheesesteak now. You look at me like I'm crazy and be like, man, get out of my face. But if I have a firearm and I say I want you to come in and buy this cheesesteak, you probably will now because I'm armed. So you're probably going to do it even under duress. You'll probably do it because you don't want to get shot. Well, same thing with the government. Look at it this way. Isn't it easier to make people accept this new regime, this new economy, this new system when you have armed soldiers outside? It's a lot easier then. So they're going to make people beg for it. That's how they work. They want you to beg for it. They want you to be so disgusted with the old way and the old system that you are willing to take the new one. No one's working. People are out of work. People struggling. And then the government does a commercial and says, we got your back. Those of you who have been out of work for more than 2 years, come on down to this address. We got your back. You'll be perked to work immediately. As a matter of fact, we got a job for you making 6 figures. Come down today, 6 figures tomorrow. What do you say? Do you know how long that line going to be? Then they come in, they break it down to you. Say you got to take this tattoo. That's all you need. It doesn't hurt. Painless tattoo. Put the tattoo on. Say that you are, pledging your allegiance to the new world order, the new system, and we'll put you to work, and you're good to go. There will be no end in sight of that line. That's what's going to happen. They're going to make you take it, and you're going to see the new structure comes with a new military, a new face of military, which will be the UN. That's why you've been seeing the UN vehicles moving all throughout the country on the down low, because that's going to be the new force. That's why they've been militarizing everyone else, so that they can absorb them into the new force. Those that will go into the new force will go. Those that won't, they'll just be let go or shipped off into a facility. All this stuff is being done for a reason, because the new America is going to be one big giant sweatshop for the rest of the world. I kid you not.
And what type of way of life is this new America going to be like?
Terrible. No, you're not going to like the new system. You're going to be begging for the days of the old system.
So are you saying that we're moving back into like a third world, or moving into a third world type of nation, or?
No, it's not quite a third world. It's the new world.
It's a new world.
But it's a third world experience, if you will, because you're not going to have any freedom. We have more freedom now, but less than we did 10, 20 years ago. But under the new system, you're not going to be able to move and do anything without them knowing exactly where you are at all times. The new electronic tattoo has GPS in it, so they know where you are at all times. They've been putting up towers all over the country, these special, they look like white tannish boxes that they put really high at the top of the telephone poles. Those are not cable boxes. Those are not cable boxes. They are not traffic cameras. That houses the new system, the hardware in it. That's why it's made durable like that, like military grade looking, because that's what they're going to use to track everything. Picture this. Picture a world where not only does the government know everything that you do and everything that you say, but they're doing it in real time. Imagine there being virtually hardly any crime, because if there's a theft or there's a murder, they'll be able to know exactly who was in the vicinity at the time, down to the second, and they'll have an aerial picture of it. They have photograph also. They have special drones in the sky now that are linking up so that you can have real-time images, satellite images all over to the ground, all over the country. And it's going to be linked, and that tattoo will be synced up with it as well. So everywhere you go, every traffic light, no matter where you go, you will be pinged, and they'll know where you are. So if they say, okay, there was a bank robbery at Bank of America on 7th Street. It happened at noon. They'll be able to pull it up and say, okay, give me all the chips that were inside of that bank at that time. Okay, you had 10 chips. All right, here are the digits and the identities of the 10 people in the chips. Okay, well, that's where we start. Now we know who did it. It's down to these 10 people. Oh, we've seen this suspect running. Okay, oh, that's chip 9. Yep, that's so-and-so. Here's all his information. It'll be impossible to do anything because they'll know who and where, and they'll have aerial picture of it, and they'll have your tattoo pinged wherever you go. It's an amazing system, and I'm not even doing it justice. Just wait until you see it for yourself. People are going to be blown away. And I'll leave you with this part of it. I'll get off my soapbox. Most people, they're not even going to be fazed by it because they're so asleep. They're such sheeple. They're going to think this thing is awesome. They're not even going to notice that the old system went away and here's a new system. They'll just see it as a ever-going, expanding greatness. They think we're going to be in Camelot. I'm telling you, it's crazy what's coming down the pike. And the market is just a part of it. As the economy so-called is collapsing, people jobs and all that, you're going to see the Dow hitting 20 and 30 and 50 and 40,000.
So for my last question here, there are going to be those that object to this.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to those people?
They're not going to really have a choice. I mean, you can object all you want, but at the end of the day, you still have to eat.
When I'm saying object, I mean like people, gathering weapons, people saying, no, we're going to fight this. There's going to be groups of people that do this.
They say that. No, they're not, because they're going to be sucked in. All right. I cannot stress enough the spirit of deception that goes along with this. You can't underestimate the power of the media to shape thought. They're really good at it. Do you remember 9/11? Mm-hmm. Do you remember right after they reopened the markets? What was the number one campaign? Patriotism. Yep. It's unpatriotic to short the market. They made commercials 24/7. That's all you heard. CNBC, Bloomberg, every other word they would sneak it in there. It's unpatriotic to short the market. Well, it's unpatriotic to short the market. Oh, it's unpatriotic to short. That's all you heard. That helped lift the market up and gave it a V-shaped recovery. That's what helped it. That's how powerful they are. They start making songs about patriotism. Movies came out about patriotism. TV shows included patriotism. They got you. People talk a good game, but when's the last time you seen any armed citizens going down to the White House in a group? People talk, but they're not about to do nothing. They're not about that life. Our government's military arm is too strong. And they don't even have to, show up with camouflage and M16s. That's old school. They can disappear you while you taking a shower. They're not scared of no revolt. I'm just being honest with you. They're trying to make it seem like that because they want to trick people into doing a revolt so they can show you just how tight they are and how they can squash you. They're not scared of no people uprising. They know people can't uprise. They don't have it in them. They're too soft. The average American is too soft. We're not going to do nothing because they already know what's waiting for them if they do. They don't want to go to jail. They don't want to go to prison. They know what happens if they go to jail or prison. They're not scared of that. They're not going to disrupt their life. Come on now. You know I'm telling the truth. They're going to go right along with this. They're going to be like, I hate this. I don't like it. But at the end of the day, their stomach is going to growl, and they're going to go and they're going to buy a sandwich. And if it gets to the point where they can't buy the sandwich without the tattoo, they're going to go get the tattoo. They may hold off for a little bit, but eventually they're going to go get the tattoo. Because I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to realize that, man, you know what? I'm not able to function in society without this. When your driver's license expires and you need to go renew your registration, they'll be like, okay, I need your chip number. Oh, you have to go down to the social department and get your tattoo, because without it, I can't renew your registration. I'm telling you, they got this. There are a million steps ahead of us. They got this. There's no revolt. There's no uprising. All that talk, they would have been did it. We wouldn't have let it get this far. If America as a nation was united, if the people were really united, it would have never got this far. We would not have been this far. And I was about to say something, I can't say it. I'll just say this. We wouldn't have the certain people in the White House these last couple elections that we do if the people were really awake and really so against what's going on. They're gonna take it like they always do. They're gonna lay down, they're gonna take it. And the government's betting that you're gonna do that. That's why they keep doing what they're doing and getting away with it.
Dex, I want to thank you for coming on the X22 Report Spotlight. Once again, how can people see your work?
You can see my work on my YouTube channel, which is PulseScan72, or type in the Vulcan Report, it should come up. Or you can go to my website, and I have it's pulsescan.blogspot.com, or you can go to my other website, which is PulseScan72. What is it? At Wix/Black Ops Trading. I think that's what it is. But all the links are at the bottom of all my videos, so you can catch me there.
Dex, once again, thank you very much. And I'll put all the links at the bottom of this video to make it easier for everyone to get to his sites. And really appreciate you coming on here. Thank you very much.
No problem. I hope I answered all the questions and I didn't, go off on a tangent too much. I tend to do that.
Not at all. It was fantastic. Thank you.
And you're welcome. Thanks for having me.